We Catholics are usually pretty good at observing the 40 days of Lent, but sometimes we fall short in celebrating the 50 days of Easter. We do have a tendency, especially here in our culture, to front load our celebrations. Lots of preparation or anticipation, but then we rush away from the event once it comes upon us. We often see Holy Week and Easter as the end rather than the beginning of a season of celebration. What are we celebrating? Well, to be sure, it's the victory of sin, the victory of Christ over sin and death with his own death and resurrection. Moreover, we're celebrating the formation of a faith community, a church. And that's why we read almost in every liturgy from the Acts of the Apostles in the Easter season, the history of the early church. And on the second Sunday of Easter, today, it's customary to read from the Gospel of John concerning the appearance Jesus made to the apostles and in a special way to Thomas. It's interesting that doubt is one of the first things mentioned in the church's celebration of Easter. Over the years, I've had some interesting discussions with people about doubt. Some people have told me that they have never doubted a thing about their faith, ever. If that's your situation, consider yourself blessed. The more difficult conversations involve people who confuse doubt with unbelief. These persons conclude that doubt and faith are incompatible, and if you have questions, then you're not a true believer. That simply is not correct. Doubt, to a certain degree of certainty, is compatible with faith, especially when we're moving from one level of faith to another. Often happens during adolescence or young adulthood. We begin to outgrow a certain level of faith and we move to another, but it's not always easy. It's a critical time because we can reinforce the doubt and move towards unbelief, or we can move in a direction of greater faith, deeper faith. Mother Teresa of Calcutta has a very interesting story about her own faith life and doubt. Early in her life, she had some mystical experiences of God in her prayer. But then she went through years and years and years of darkness, what the spiritual writers refer to as the dark night of the soul. But despite this, she continued to believe and to put that belief into concrete care of the sick and the poor. As Thomas did 2,000 years ago, we can experience moments of doubt and disbelief. Perhaps we could ask Thomas to intercede for us as we gather in prayer, to help us to sustain us in our faith commitment, and to come through any periods of doubt with the same conviction that he did. And we can do it without even seeing the risen Lord. May we hear the prayer of Christ ringing in our ears. Blessed are they who have not seen and yet believe. And we can add the prayer, Lord, I do believe. Help me in my unbelief.